I said it just to hurt him. If you're so bored, go have your little fling. He didn't yell, didn't defend himself, didn't even raise his voice. He just stared at me across our too-clean kitchen, jaw clenched, eyes dull, like he couldn't believe I'd actually said it. Then he grabbed his keys, walked out the door, and never came back. That was 397 days ago. And today, I saw his wedding photos. To her, the fling. The girl I thought he'd fumble around with for a month and come crawling back from. But there she is, in white, on a beach, wearing the smile I used to think was mine. And I'm sitting on the edge of my sister's guest bed with a half-eaten cup of yogurt, and a dog I don't even like sleeping on my ankle, wondering, did I just give him away? Or did I finally say out loud what we both already knew? Back then, I thought it was just another fight. We had dozens, stupid ones, dramatic ones, quiet ones. This one started because he liked someone's photo on Instagram. Nothing scandalous, just a girl in a sundress holding an iced latte. Caption said something about craving chaos. But I saw the like and the follow. And the little fire emoji he left under her story 2 nights before. So yeah, I confronted him. I didn't do it calmly. I didn't ask questions. I threw accusations like knives and dared him to bleed. Oh, you like thirsty girls now, that your thing? He looked exhausted. No, Camille, I like girls who aren't always at war with me. That one stung. So I hit back harder. If I'm such a damn burden, then leave. Go have your little fling. Go get it out of your system. I wanted him to say no. I wanted him to say, don't be ridiculous, I love you. Instead, he blinked, quietly, then said, you sure? And I said yes. A cold, bitchy, fake smiling yes. Yes, go get it out of your system. Let me know when you're done pretending 25-year-olds will make you happy. Then I slammed the dishwasher door like that was the end of the conversation. But it was. Because the next morning, he didn't come back. No calls, no texts. Just silence. The first 3 days I was smug. Let him sweat. Let him scroll through Tinder and realize how average it is out there. Let him lie awake in his buddy's guest room and miss the way I breathe in my sleep. I even posted a story from brunch with a male coworker, tagged him. Petty, yes. But I wasn't trying to win. I was trying to scare him into remembering what he was losing. Day 6 I cracked. Sent him a just checking in text. No reply. Day 8 I wrote, so we're just not talking now. Nothing. By the end of week 2, I showed up at his apartment, well, our apartment. The lease was in both our names. But his stuff was mostly gone. No shoes by the door. No hoodie on the couch. Just a silence so total, I thought I'd gone deaf. My sister told me to give it time. He's being a child, he'll come back once the drama settles. But the weeks turned into months. Then I saw a tagged post. Him at a bar. Same girl from the latte post. They were sitting very close. Her hand on his knee. Caption said, found someone who lets me exhale. I felt my stomach drop. Not from jealousy. From realization. He hadn't gone on a fling. He'd gone forward. I didn't reach out again. Not after that. I deleted his number, blocked her account. I started therapy, told myself I'd dodged a midlife crisis in human form. But the truth, I kept checking. Incognito tabs, fake accounts. I couldn't stop watching their lives unfold like a show I once starred in but had been written out of. They moved in together after 4 months. Adopted a dog. Took a trip to Sedona. And then on day 394, I saw the engagement photo. Her hand on his chest, a tiny gold ring, the caption, yes 1,000 times over. And I swear, I heard glass shatter in my mind. Because that fling, I told him to go have. She was now his forever. I screamed into a pillow that night. Not because I wanted him back, but because I didn't mean it. I never meant it. That stupid throwaway line, go have your little fling, was a test. A provocation. A button I thought he wouldn't dare press. But he did. And instead of turning around and saying, that's not what I want, he left. And never came home. So now I sit in my sister's guest room, on my second glass of wine, watching their wedding slideshow from behind a burner Instagram account, wondering, was I just his permission slip to leave? Or was he already gone, long before I dared him to go? You should try Hinge again, my coworker said. We were 3 margaritas into girls' night, and she was swiping like a machine. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. I had tried. 3 dates, 2 panic attacks, 1 accidental text to my ex at 1 a.m. None of them felt like him. Worse, none of them even felt like me anymore. I'd spent so long defining myself by who I was next to him, I didn't know how to sit alone without feeling extra. Like a guest star in my own life. The problem wasn't just that he left. It's that he became better after he left. The man I fought with about communication now posted long, heartfelt captions about learning to love with patience. The man who couldn't plan a dinner without Googling restaurants near me now cooked Sunday brunches for her, quiches, no less, and shared reels of them dancing in the kitchen like a damn rom-com. The man who once called emotional validation therapy talk now quoted Brené Brown in his Instagram bio. He became the man I begged for, but for someone else. And that did something ugly to me. Even my mother noticed. Noticed him, I mean, not me. She called one afternoon to tell me his engagement photos were tasteful, and that he always did look sharp in navy blue. Then she paused. You know, she said gently, maybe he just found someone who brought out a different version of him. I said nothing, because I knew she was right. But I hated her for saying it out loud. One night I saw a mutual friend post a story. A rooftop party, champagne flutes, laughter. I tapped through, and there they were. Him and her. Slow dancing under fairy lights. He had one arm around her waist, one hand cradling the back of her neck, forehead pressed to hers. And she was beaming. You know, the kind of smile that isn't forced or photogenic, it just erupts out of someone. She had that. With him. The same man I used to beg to hold my hand in public. Now slow dancing like he invented romance. I slammed my phone face down. But the damage was done. That scene was branded into my brain. It would replay for weeks. In the shower, on the train, in the middle of meetings. Him, her, that smile. Like a loop of proof that I was always the problem. I tried telling myself it was all just optics. That social media only shows the curated highlight reel. But then I saw the wedding. Through a friend of a friend. It was on a beach. She walked barefoot down an aisle of wildflowers. He cried when he saw her. He cried. The man who stared stone-faced at me the night I told him I was done pretending this was a real relationship. Now cried in front of 100 people for someone else. I watched the video on mute. Then with sound. Then on mute again. Until the battery died. And even then, the silence screamed. I wish I could say I blocked them after that. That I took the high road and focused on my healing journey. But no. I stalked. Not just her page, his sister's, his best man's, even the wedding planner's account. I needed to piece together every angle. Like if I could just understand how it happened, it would stop hurting. It didn't. If anything, it made it worse. Because every tag, every smile, every soft glow filter screamed the same thing. He's not coming back. And he doesn't miss you. He just moved on. My therapist asked me what I would have done differently. I said I wouldn't have said it. The line, she asked. I nodded. Go have your little fling. It echoed in my skull like a gunshot. I thought he'd fight me, I admitted. I thought he'd prove me wrong. She looked at me gently. And what if he didn't fight because he agreed? That hit like a brick. Because maybe it was never about me daring him to go. Maybe he'd already packed his emotional bags months before I handed him the key. I still see him sometimes. Well, them. Not in person. In algorithms. In smiles that used to be mine. In captions I wish I'd written. And sometimes I imagine him watching me back. Wondering if I've changed. If I still talk in my sleep. If I ever found someone else to fight with over almond milk and Spotify playlists. But most of the time, I know he's not wondering. He's living, loving, laughing in a way I never saw when he was with me. And I'm the one left rewinding old scenes like they'll turn out different. They never do. I made a fake Pinterest board called When You Know, You Know. It was full of engagement rings I didn't like, venues I couldn't afford, and dresses that would never fit me. I wasn't dating anyone seriously, but I needed to feel like I was in motion. Like I wasn't just a girl he left, but a woman some other man would soon marry. It wasn't delusion. It was survival. Around the 6-month mark after his wedding, I went on a second date with a guy named Trevor. He had nice teeth, worked in finance, and asked for consent before he touched my knee. A gentleman. But that night in bed, when he kissed my neck and whispered, "You're so beautiful," I whispered back. He never said that. Out loud. Trevor froze. What? I pulled away and covered my face. Nothing, I'm sorry. He left 20 minutes later. And never texted again. Can't blame him. Who wants to be haunted by a ghost with perfect teeth? The next morning, I posted a photo of myself in a silk robe with a latte and captioned it, "Learning to love mornings again." Fake every word. I hated mornings. But I knew his sister still followed me from a burner. Let her see. Let them all see that I was fine. Flourishing. Unbothered. Then I did something even stupider. I messaged the wedding planner he used. Pretended to inquire about pricing for a small, intimate ceremony next spring. The woman was lovely. She sent a detailed PDF and asked, "Do you and your fiancé have a date in mind yet?" And I lied. Said we were thinking April. Then, drunk on fantasy, I opened the marriage license website and started filling out the online form with my name and Trevor as a placeholder. Right up to the part where they asked for documents. I stopped, closed the tab, shut my laptop, and sat there, staring at my reflection in the dark screen like a lunatic. What the hell was I doing? I wasn't moving on. I was acting. A one-woman show called Look, I'm Over Him. Spoiler, I was. I told myself to stop. I gave myself rules. No more checking his socials. No more imaginary wedding plans. No more dating men just to feel wanted. It worked for about 5 days. Until I saw him in person. It was the grocery store. Of all places. I turned the corner with a basket full of oat milk and sadness, and there he was. Holding a bag of lemons, laughing at something she whispered in his ear. She was in leggings and a hoodie. No makeup. And glowing. Not like a filter. Like someone who knows she's loved. He saw me first. His smile faltered. She noticed, turned, and I saw her face shift from warm to wary. "Camille," he said, nodding like a polite stranger. I smiled too hard. Hi, wow, small world. No one knew what to do with their hands. Then I blurted, "This is funny, Trevor and I were just here yesterday." Why did I say that? There was no Trevor. He was ghosted and gone. His ghost probably lived in another woman's phone by now. "Oh," my ex said, "glad to hear you're doing well." His tone was kind. Too kind. Like you speak to a dog you used to own. I nodded, blood boiling. She leaned into him slightly. Protective. As if I might lunge. I didn't. I just laughed, high-pitched and fake. Anyway, gotta go. Big weekend ahead. Of course, he said. And I turned the corner, dropped the oat milk in the process, and kept walking. Eyes burning. Heart collapsing. Not because he saw me weak, but because I had nothing real to show for all my pretending. Back home, I did something radical. I unfollowed him. Deleted the Pinterest board. Threw out the robe I bought just for Instagram. Then I did something harder. I sat in silence. No phone, no distractions. Just me. Me, the girl who told him to go have his little fling. The woman who watched him turn that fling into a forever. The person left behind because she didn't know how to say, "Please don't go." I called my therapist. Told her everything. The fake form. The social media war. The grocery store humiliation. She didn't judge. She just asked one question. Do you want to heal? Or do you want to win? I didn't answer. But I knew the truth. I'd been trying to win. To prove I mattered. To erase the sting of rejection by becoming someone new, someone shinier. But it never worked. Because healing doesn't come with applause. And sometimes you don't win. You just survive. And for now, that would have to be enough. It was a Wednesday. I remember because I had finally slept through the night without checking their socials. Progress. I was brushing my teeth when I saw the notification light up. Instagram. Not from some spam bot or brand account. From her. Rachel. The girl I once called the Fling. The girl I imagined had no depth, no dignity, just curves and compliments and a giggle that could steal someone's man. The girl who married mine. She messaged me. Just one sentence. Hey, I know this is random, but can we talk? I spit toothpaste into the sink and stared at my reflection like it might offer answers. Was this a trap? A flex? A pity check-in? I left her on read. For 3 hours. Then wrote back. About what? She replied in minutes. Mark, but not in the way you think. Now my stomach dropped. Not the name. The tone. She wasn't gloating. She sounded tired. Curious. Scared. I typed and deleted 10 versions of why the fuck would I talk to you? But instead I sent. Okay, where? We met at a coffee shop across town. Neutral territory. I arrived first and chose the booth in the back, dark, cold, near the bathroom. She walked in 5 minutes later. Hair in a messy bun. Oversized sweater. No makeup. This wasn't the Instagram version of her. This was the too exhausted to fake it version. She slid into the seat across from me. Smiled nervously. And then said, I'm sorry. Not fake. Not strategic. Just raw. I blinked. For what? For everything, for falling for him so fast, for not asking more questions, for believing I was the exception. My heart started hammering. What are you talking about? She looked down at her coffee, then up at me. You warned him that if he wanted a fling, he could go. Right. I nodded. That's what he told me, that you pushed him away, that you were cold, that he tried and you shut down. I laughed bitterly. Sounds like his greatest hits. She didn't smile. Instead, she pulled something out of her tote bag. A journal. His. She slid it toward me. I wasn't snooping, he left it out, and I needed answers. I stared at the cover. Felt like touching it would burn my skin. He wrote about you, she said. A lot, even after we got married. Now I felt dizzy. What did he say? She exhaled. That he loved you, that he felt small around you, that he resented how seen you made him feel, that you called out his bullshit and it made him feel like a child. I swallowed hard. Sounds about right. But also, she added, that no one ever challenged him like you did, and that scared him. Silence. Then she added, he says I make him feel safe, but sometimes I wonder if that just means I don't make him feel anything. That hit like a slap. She looked at me, really looked. Do you still love him? I blinked. What? Do you still love him, Camille? I opened my mouth. Closed it. Tried again. I don't know. Which was a lie. But the kind of lie that keeps you breathing. She nodded. I think I did, at first, but lately, I feel like I'm just trying to hold together a fantasy he's already bored of. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt sick. Because I saw it now. He didn't choose her. He escaped through her. Just like he'd escaped me. And someday, maybe she'd be sitting in a coffee shop too, staring at another woman he ran from, comparing scars like war veterans. Before we left, she looked me in the eye and said, whatever happened between you two, I'm not your enemy. I never wanted to replace you. I just thought he needed saving. I nodded. Because I knew that story. I'd lived it. And now she was. That night, I reread our old texts. The good ones. The ones where we were still us. I found the message he sent me after our third date. Being with you is like standing in a storm, terrifying and alive. At the time, I thought it was romantic. Now I see it was a warning. Some people don't want to be alive. They want to be untouched, unprovoked, unchanged. He didn't want a partner. He wanted peace, even if it meant silence. And for the first time in over a year, I didn't want him back. Not even a little. Because I wasn't a safe harbor. I was a wildfire. And he was always going to choose the woman who let him sleep through the sirens. After I met with Rachel, I walked for 2 hours. No music. No phone. Just the sound of my boots hitting concrete and the storm brewing in my chest. She hadn't come to fight. She hadn't come to gloat. She'd come to confess the same thing I had been too proud to admit for a year. He wasn't stolen. He ran. And maybe not even away from me. Just toward the version of himself he didn't have to earn. I sat on a park bench near a duck pond and let myself feel everything. The heartbreak. The shame. But mostly, the unbearable truth that I hadn't just lost him. I'd pushed him. On purpose. See, when you grow up believing that love is temporary, conditional, something you earn but never quite deserve. You start to test people. You pick fights just to see if they'll stay. You poke until they flinch. You say things like, go have your little fling, not because you want them to, but because you need to know if they'll fight for you. And when they do, it hurts. But at least the disappointment is familiar. At least you can say, see, I knew it. I used to think I was the strong one in the relationship. The fiery one. The unshakable one. But strength isn't saying hurtful shit to prove a point. It's saying, please don't go. And I never said that. Not once. Because somewhere deep down, I believed he would. That he should. And that belief. It shaped everything. In therapy, we talked about attachment styles. Turns out I was difficult or independent, like I like to call myself. I was anxious. Avoidant. Terrified of being seen too closely. Terrified of needing too much. So I performed control. Detached sarcasm. Sarcastic ultimatums. Silent treatments that screamed, prove me wrong. And when he did, I called it betrayal. But really, it was prophecy. Self-fulfilling. One night, I found a voice memo I'd recorded on my phone but never sent. It was dated 5 days after he left. My voice cracked. I was crying. Rambling. Saying things like, you were supposed to come back, I didn't mean it, I never wanted to lose you, please just come back. I listened to it 3 times. Then deleted it. Not out of shame. Out of respect. For the girl who finally said what she felt. Even if it was too late. The hardest part wasn't losing him. It was realizing I hadn't let him love me. Not really. I made him prove himself 100 times. And when he tried to hold me, I twisted. When he tried to get close, I bit back. When he said, I'm not your enemy, I said, then stop acting like it. Everything was a test. Everything was a dare. And when he finally passed the one test, I never expected him to. Go have your little fling. I had the audacity to be shocked. I remember this one night, a few months before he left. We were watching a movie, and he pulled me in close. Tucked my head under his chin. I pulled away, joking. Too hot. He looked at me. I wish you'd just let me hold you. I laughed it off. You're holding me now. No, he said, you let me touch you, but you never really let me in. I rolled my eyes. But he was right. I built a fortress and decorated it with sarcasm. And then wondered why I felt so alone inside it. That night, after Rachel's confession, I lay in bed and finally let myself remember the good things. Not the fights. Not the ending. But the mornings, he brought me coffee with a post-it on the lid that said, Drink this before you curse the world. The way he used to say, Camille, like it was both a question and a promise. The way he kissed my wrist in the grocery store, just because he liked the way my veins moved under his lips. The way he always paused before leaving the house and said, "You're the best part of my day." And how I used to shrug that off. Or roll my eyes. Or say, "You need better days." Because I didn't believe it. Because I couldn't receive it. Because somewhere deep inside, I was already preparing for the goodbye. Loving someone isn't just about how much you give. It's also about how much you let yourself receive. And I never let myself receive him. Not fully. Not without a filter of fear. So when he left, it didn't break me. It just proved me right. But now, I was tired of being right. I was ready to be free. It came in a cream-colored envelope with gold lettering. Thick paper. Handwritten address. No return name, but I knew. Even before I opened it, I knew. It smelled like closure. I opened it on the kitchen counter, like a surgeon preparing for an autopsy. Inside, "You are warmly invited to the baby shower of Rachel and Mark, celebrating the beginning of their next chapter. Camille +1. That name, my name, next to +1 made my chest twist. Because there was no +1. There hadn't been in a long time. Just me. And now them. And soon, a baby. I sat with it for hours. Kept flipping it over like the back of the paper might explain why. Why she'd invite me. Was it pity? Guilt? A test? A gift? A trap? The RSVP deadline was in 2 weeks. I waited until the last day. And checked yes. Not because I was over it. Because I needed to prove to myself that I could stand in the same room as them and not shatter. My sister begged me not to go. You don't owe them this, not 1 second of your peace. But it wasn't about them. It was about walking into the fire I'd been circling for over a year. And seeing if I still burned. I bought a gift. Neutral tones, handmade baby blanket. Wrapped it in tissue with trembling fingers. Wrote a note that said nothing personal, just congratulations. I wore a navy blue dress. Hair back. No lipstick. No weapons. No armor. Just Camille. Who I was before I started performing Heartbreak. The shower was at a rented garden space. Pastel balloons, lemonade in mason jars, baby name guessing games and flower crowns. I arrived 10 minutes late, like I hoped to blend into the middle. They didn't notice me at first. Which was a mercy. But then Rachel saw me, and she smiled. Soft. Like I wasn't an ex. Just a memory. She walked over. Not pregnant big yet, but round enough that she touched her belly every few minutes. Hey, she said, you came. I did. Thank you. And for a moment, we stood in that breeze, 2 women who had loved the same man, who would never love each other, but would always be connected. She didn't hug me, but she touched my arm. It was enough. Then I saw him. Mark. Across the patio, laughing with a group of men. He looked good. Not in a fantasy way. In a human way. Healthy. Solid. Stable. He saw me. Paused. Then raised a hand in a silent hello. I nodded. That was our goodbye. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just acknowledgement. Of all we were. And all we'd never be again. Later, during a gift opening circle, someone handed Rachel the blanket I brought. She unfolded it. Smiled. Held it up for everyone to see. From Camille, she said simply. A few people turned to look at me. I smiled back. No tears. No flinch. And in that moment, I realized. I wasn't the girl who'd said, go have your little fling anymore. I wasn't the ex. I wasn't the victim. I was just a woman who had loved, lost, and let go. After the party, I didn't stay. No long goodbyes. No dramatics. I left the garden and walked to my car. And sat in silence for a long time. Not because it hurt, but because, for the first time, it didn't. That was the miracle. Not that they had moved on, but that I finally had. Driving home, I passed the park where we used to sit in fall, sipping cider and pretending we had forever. The bench was empty. I smiled, because I wasn't waiting anymore. I used to think closure was a conversation. A dramatic one. Tears, apologies, maybe a hug, maybe even one last kiss just to prove it meant something. But real closure. It's quieter than I expected. It sounds like the absence of his name in my thoughts. It feels like walking past our old brunch place and not pausing. It looks like me, on a Sunday, making pancakes for myself and humming to a playlist that doesn't include our song anymore. Closure isn't a door slamming. It's the wind no longer rattling it. The funny part is, I don't hate him. I don't hate her either. They're just people. Flawed, human, hurting in ways I'll never fully see. For a long time, I wanted to cast them in roles. He was the coward. She was the rebound. I was the abandoned. It made things simple. Made pain feel earned. But none of us were just one thing. He was my comfort and my wound. She was my rival and my mirror. And I was never the victim. I was the architect. Of my walls. Of my fears. Of the moment I dared him to leave, because deep down, I didn't believe anyone would choose to stay. That's the part that still chokes me sometimes. How much I loved him from a distance, arms crossed, eyes skeptical, heart guarded. And how he waited, for a while. And then stopped waiting. Because love can survive a storm. But it can't survive a vacuum. Sometimes, I still flinch when I hear his name in passing. Sometimes, I see a profile that resembles his and feel the breath catch in my throat. But it's not longing. It's muscle memory. Like reaching for a step that's no longer there. Your body remembers the fall. But your mind knows you survived it. I've started seeing someone. Really seeing. Not performing. Not rebounding. He doesn't have Mark's eyes. He doesn't know my history. But he listens when I speak. He doesn't try to fix me. Just sits with me. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself be held, without testing what would happen if I pulled away. I stay. And so does he. If I could talk to the woman I was the day I said, "Go have your little fling," I wouldn't scold her. I'd sit beside her. Hold her hand. Tell her she's not unlovable. She's just scared. And no one taught her that love doesn't have to hurt to be real. I'd tell her the storm inside her isn't too much. It's just not meant to be bottled. And that one day, she'd stop being afraid of calm. Mark was never the lesson. I was. He just mirrored back everything I hadn't healed. And maybe that was his purpose. Not to stay, but to shake me loose. To hold up a mirror so I could finally say, I need to change. Not for him. For me. And I did. Not all at once. Not perfectly. But enough. Enough to stop rewriting the story as a tragedy. Enough to step out of the role of the one who got left. And become the woman who left herself behind and went back to get her. If you're reading this and you've lost someone because you pushed first. Because you dared them to go. Because you were too afraid to say stay. Let me say this. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not unlovable. You are just unlearning the lies you were told about your worth. And yes, it hurts. But pain is not the proof that you failed. It's the proof that you're alive. And life, my love, begins again every time you let go of who you used to be. Subscribe to my Mia's Stories YouTube channel for raw, emotional stories and authentic insights that encourage healing, growth, and understanding. Don't forget to be part of a supportive space where stories inspire and lessons resonate. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments. Your opinion truly matters to us, and we're here for you.